I'm Commissioner Christian Leinbach, and welcome to the Berks County Board of Commissioners meeting for February the 4th of 2021. We're broadcasting, as we always do, via Microsoft Teams live event. We're also being watched on Berks Community Television, Facebook, and YouTube Live. At this time, I want to recognize my Executive Assistant, Mary Buer.
Thank you. Public comment will be accepted through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by the limitations of the platform being used: Teams, Q&A, Facebook, and YouTube. The meeting comment period is limited to 30 minutes in total. Please be concise. Comments will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue with the commissioners. Any commissioner response to public comment will be done at the discretion of the commissioners.
Thank you, Mary. As always, we will begin with a moment of silence, followed by a pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will begin, as we do every week, with the Berks County COVID-19 data report. That is being presented by Brian Gottschall, the director of our Berks County Department of Emergency Services and lead on the Berks County COVID-19 leadership team. Brian Gottschall. You're muted.
Okay, let me start that again. Thank you very much for pointing out that I was muted. Also, thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, for covering last week and delivering the report while I was tied up with another meeting that overlapped the commissioners' meeting. So our first bit of good news is the early warning dashboard. The state indicates downward trends in all of the indicators that are tracked on the early warning dashboard. Now, one thing that does have to be considered here is that we have to factor in the data bump that we had last Friday, and that likely has not played into these statistics yet, but I'll talk about that in a moment as it more is directly visible in the data that the county is displaying. So the first slide that we always look at is our cases and testing smoothed over a 14-day period for cases and 7-day period for testing. I do want to draw your attention to the right-hand side of the slide. I'm sure that everyone saw in the data reports that come from the state last Friday that we had an astronomical day, over 90% positivity, well over 1,000 cases more than we would ever report in a single day. And that was explained by DOH as being some data catch-up that resulted from positive antigen tests that for some reason were not being compiled in the data. And that reversed what was a very handsome downward trend over a period of about a week and a half, and kind of got us back to, for lack of a better term, where we ought to be. So I've shown here in the blue line, in our case count line, we saw that dramatic downward trend and then a sudden spike back upward. But when we try to smooth out that data anomaly, if we look at that red line, it probably is more representative of what we should have seen over that period of time, which was a slow downward trend, not the nice downward trend that we really like to see. Again, in our first test positivity, we see what was a significant downward trend with almost a vertical spike back up. But you can imagine if we would connect the peak prior to that downward trend to the right-hand side of the graph, it's really representative more of where we were, which was more of a flattening of positivity, not the downward trend that we enjoyed seeing there for about a week and a half. We are seeing a little bit of a tip over in our cumulative death count, not yet really visible in the graphic unless you would really zoom in on the right-hand side of the chart. But obviously anything that we can see that represents a flattening over a downward trend is something that we're happy to see. I anticipate if our numbers continue to trend as they have been over the last few days, we will start to see this green line flatten out again as compared to the somewhat vertical climb that we had over the last few weeks. Our hospital numbers are not great, but they continue to look better. We've had a 4-week trend of slow declines, a small uptick in number of cases on vents this week, but in general, continuing slow downward decline in our hospital census numbers. Our PA county comparison snapshot really kind of remains pretty much where we have been. The numbers move up, the numbers move down, but we're pretty much remaining in the same place over a week-to-week period. Hopefully we will see that our cases per capita as well as our deaths per capita do start to flatten out again and start to find that downward trend again in comparison to other counties. This graph got very confusing due to that data anomaly. Again, we've drawn in the red line there for what we believe that the case smoothing really would have looked like had we been tracking it properly with good day-to-day data from the state. But it does continue to hold true that we see our death spikes and our death valleys tracking along about 3 weeks behind our case spikes and valleys. And this is hopefully, again, representative of the fact that we've tipped over the top of a post-Christmas case spike, and hopefully we are now seeing the downward side of the following death spike that would have come behind that. A couple additional slides, just want to go over very quickly about vaccine. Of course, that's obviously everyone's interest at the moment. Right now, Berks County is 11th in the state when looked at by both first and second dose administrations. This graphic is sorted by first dose administrations, but trust me, if we sorted it by fully covered or second dose administrations, we would also remain at 11th. With about 25,000 total doses counting first and second having been administered. Just wanted to draw to everyone's attention the GIS mapping that is available on the state's vaccine website, and the link to this is cumbersome. So the easiest thing to do is really just to Google PA COVID vaccine. That will take you to the state DOH webpage for COVID vaccine, where you can find this map that shows you the possible locations in Berks County that have vaccine. And I emphasize possible because it's the locations that have been distributed vaccine. The state does not tell us locations that have vaccine, and they are not providing us the data with respect to administration by location. So for example, we can go back and look at some pharmacy received 100 doses. What the state doesn't share with us is what percentage or what total number of those 100 doses were actually administered, and therefore what remains at any given location. Much harder to look at in the state data, so I tried to break it down and summarize it specific to Berks County as tabular data for vaccine opportunities. So this graphic shows each of the locations in Berks County that have been provided vaccine and the volume of each kind of vaccine that they've been provided. Again, unfortunately, we can't tell you what any given location has left over, but this at least tells us where the vaccine is going within Berks County, and we see that there have been about 34,000 total vaccine doses distributed in Berks County. So that ends the presentation, Commissioners. Certainly happy to answer any questions you might have, if any.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any Commissioner Barnhart, go ahead.
Just to add to that vaccine graph that Brian put up about Weiss Pharmacy, the one that I visit frequently in West Lawn on 724, they receive 100 doses. on Monday, and they just administer 20 a day. I was overhearing the conversation the pharmacist had while he was vaccinating an older gentleman while I was waiting for another script. So they're doing 20 a day, and the reason they're doing 20 a day is just the sheer volume of the other pharmaceuticals they're dispensing as a pharmacy. There were 5 people behind the counter yesterday, so it's really kind of a timing issue for these pharmacies to be able to have the manpower to distribute the vaccines.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions for Brian? If not, we'll move to Commissioner Barnhart. Thank you, Brian Gottschall. You do a very good job each time. We appreciate it. And Commissioner Barnhart is going to present a report on Cook County Wellness. They are our partner in doing the contact tracing.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. So total since June 8th, there have been 7,782 contacts through Cook County Wellness. This past data week, January 27th to February 3rd of 2021, 552 new contacts, and the success rate of 386 gives us just about 70%, 69.9, and they're still continuing to work on those they did not reach out to, so I'm hoping that number gets above 70%. And that week as well, there were 30 line lists for exposures at various locations throughout the county. Schools, K through 12, colleges, universities, sports teams, workplaces, daycares, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Commissioner Barnhart? Hearing none, we will move on with our agenda. Are there any additions or corrections for the January 28th Commissioner meeting minutes and the February 2nd Operation meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. Since our last Commissioners meeting, we've had 2 executive sessions, one on February 2nd dealing with personnel, one on February 3rd dealing with personnel, real estate, and litigation. Mary, is there or are there any public comments on specific agenda items?
There are not.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Item 1 under authorizing Budget Department. Adopt a resolution authorizing 2020 budget transfers in the amount of $12,568, 2020 appropriations in the negative amount of $181,392, 2021 budget transfers in the amount of $803,042, and 2021 appropriations in the amount of $222,471 per listing dated February the 2nd of 2021. We have 2 items listed under Human Resources. Number 1, authorize the appointment of Keenery Fernandez, Human Resources Assistant in Human Resources Department. Item 2, authorize the promotion of Leah Hennessy from County Caseworker 2 to County Caseworker Supervisor 1 in the Children and Youth Services Department. We have 1 item listed under purchasing, adopt a resolution authorizing the award and the Director of Contracts and Procurement to execute a 1-year contract as a result of an invitation to bid inmate and resident clothing for the Berks County Residential Center as follows. JAB Trading Industries, LLC, estimated annual expenditure, $6,080. We have 2 items listed under the Commissioners. Item A, adopt a resolution approving and authorizing the chair to electronically execute on behalf of Berks County the drawings authorizing acquisition of right-of-way for Township Route T668, Section RW, dated January the 22nd of 2021, as prepared by Borton Lawson pertaining to parcels of land affected by the Gibraltar Road Aldhouse Mill Bridge Replacement Project and associated improvements to the intersection of Gibraltar Road, Shelbourne Road, and Pennsylvania Avenue in Exeter Township here in Berks County. Item B, adopt a resolution authorizing Shelley O'Neill, Project Manager, Berks County Information Systems, to execute a change order to SOW dated December 13th of 19 to proceed with Oracle Recruiting Cloud module implementation as part of Phase 2 instead of a Taleo as initially planned. There's no change to licensing and implementation services costs. Item 2, a motion authorizing execution of contract agreements and amendments as furnished by the contract coordinator as set forth on the attached listing dated February the 3rd of 2021. There are a total of 11 contracts, one with the Area Agency on Aging, one with CareerLink, 2 with Children and Youth Services, 1 with the Commissioners, 2 with Facilities, 1 with HR, 1 with Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities, 1 with Parks, 1 with Tax Claim and the Treasurer's Office. And then item 3, a motion to ratify and confirm payments is set forth on the Controller's Office voucher listing dated February the 2nd of 2021, and the payment of electronic transfers and employee payroll.
Motion to approve the agenda is presented.
Second.
The motion is made and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is carried. At this time, we'll recognize our County Treasurer, Dennis Adams, for the Treasurer's Report. Dennis.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have an opening balance today of $170,806,565.22. A balance declare of $206.16, leaving us with a balance today of $167,510,359.06.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Our County Controller, Sandy Graffius, is not with us today, so I will share her report. Total accounts payable are $9,368,054.79. There's a total payroll this week of $4,773,067.92 for total cash disbursement of $14,141,122.71. And with that, we'll turn to our Chief Administrative Officer, Ron Seaman. Ron?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. I have nothing to report this morning.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Barnhart, you're up.
Thank you, Commissioner Leinbach. Good morning to everyone who's joined us. Just want to touch on the two-day article regarding the possibility of the pros and cons of a county health department. I think Karen Shuey, again, has done a laudable job of reporting what she found out. I just want to, for the people that are tuning in, to understand that I was on a conversation with Karen for over an hour. So really the content of what I said was a lot more expansive than the 1 minute and 4 seconds it took me to read the column. I understand she's constricted by column space and making an article very concise, but there's an awful lot of detail involved in what I said. If anyone tuning in would like to have a conversation with me on virtual or on the phone, I'm more than happy to talk to you about the pros and cons of a county health department. Again, my comments were much more extensive than could be captured in a newspaper article, so I don't want people to think that I haven't been thinking about this or will continue to think about this long into the future. It's a matter of very detailed analysis and recognizing the pros and cons of whether a health department for Berks County is the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Barnhart. Commissioner Rivera.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Leinbach, and good morning to everyone who is watching us this morning. Just have a few things to go over briefly. One or two of them I had mentioned last week, but just wanted to update on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Berks County is receiving money from the federal government in the amount of $12.5 million for this program. The goal is to have it start on March the 1st. Right now, the Redevelopment Authority is working together with the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness to finalize the details. It will be set up that anyone will be able to access it online. If someone would like to go in person or submit paperwork in person or have questions, that will all be done through the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness. They will have people answering the phones. They'll have laptop stations at their office if someone does not have access to a computer and needs to go in and complete the application there, or if you have any questions. So this is important information to get out to both tenants and landlords as well, to be able to help them. The goal is to minimize evictions because of people losing work or losing income due to COVID. There will be more information shortly on the Coalition 10 Homelessness website, as well as the doyourpartberks.com website. It's not up now. They're finalizing all the details, but once it's up, I will let you know, and you can go there. And please share this with people that you know that are having difficulty paying their rent and our utilities, and landlords as well that are having issues with their tenants being able to pay the rent. Last week, I also mentioned about the hospitality grants that has advanced in the House through the Appropriations Committee. It could be voted on by the House as early as the end of this week. We're not sure yet how quickly that will move, but that is moving forward. Hopefully it will pass. That will provide grants to hotels and restaurants who have been hit very hard by COVID. One other item is if you know of someone, hear anything on Facebook, there's a property in West Reading that is being closed down. The last I heard, there were 30-some families that live there. Some of them have found other housing. If you see anywhere, again, on social media, have a friend who heard from a friend or know someone that lived there and they do not have where to go, please have them reach out to the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness, and they are providing hotel vouchers for those families so they do not stay out on the street. This is important information. Again, if you hear of anything or anyone, please reach out and let them know that the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness is able to help them out. That's all I have. Commissioner Leinbach, back to you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Rivera, and thank you, Commissioner Barnhart. Just one item I want to touch on. The discussion over the last number of months about the possible formation of a county Department of Health. In the article, it was stated that this has been an issue for some period of time. I want to go on record that that is not the case. In fact, in the 2019 commissioner's race, I don't remember this issue coming up at all. The only individual that I've had discussions with over the years, a number of times, is Kevin Murphy from the Berks County Community Foundation. I think very early in our first term, and I don't know if it was 2008-9, somewhere in there, the Community Foundation did put forth a study and recommendation to form a Department of Health. But there has not been an outcry from the public to do this. This is something that's come up directly related to the pandemic that we are in. I've stated in the article, I believe my colleagues did as well. I know Commissioner Barnhart did. I remember his comments specifically, that now's not the time to make a rush to judgment on a county Department of Health. However, I've made a very clear commitment that I will support a full vetting of the potential of a Berks County Department of Health. We need to understand all the facts and all the data. I also want to let people know that a survey on a website by a newspaper article is nowhere close to scientific. I know that a number of people have already pointed to that. Over 90% of the people want a Department of Health. Our job is going to be to deliberately go through a process that does not predetermine in advance an outcome, but does the proper work, looking at all aspects of a health department and then making a determination based on what is best for Berks County on a long-term basis. That's all that I have. At this time, I'll turn to any of our row officers for row officer comment. Hearing none, we will move to public comment, and I will recognize my executive assistant again, Mary Buer, to read public comments.
Fred Zentgraf Sr., Berkshire Heights. Greetings, commissioners. In every election, all parties should know the ground rules well ahead of time. Just like in financial systems, there must be standardized internal controls to rule out any possibility of illegal conduct. There can be no ambiguity. There can be no opportunity for counties to handle matters differently. There must be clearly defined rules and uniformity across the Commonwealth. To change the rules during the race and even up until the votes have already been counted is wrong and undermines the election process. This is what happened in this past election. That is why faith in the election system has been shaken for many. The above paragraph, copied from January 19, 2021 letter to the Honorable Jake Corman, President Pro Tem, Pennsylvania Senate, and the Honorable Brian Cutler, Speaker of the House, Pennsylvania House of Representatives, from numerous county commissioners of Pennsylvania, including Berks County Commissioner Chairman Leinbach and Commissioner Rivera. I could not agree with more, as well as entire contents of the letter, and appreciate the effort to address the travesty of the November 3rd, 2020 fraudulent election. Keep up the good fight for free and fair elections. Thank you. Linda Bracadora, Bern Township. Hello. I wonder if anyone remembers November 7th, 1983, where the Capitol was bombed by someone wishing to kill Republicans. She was arrested and later pardoned by Clinton. She is now very much associated with Black Lives Matter, just trying to point out the hypocrisy of the left trying to make January 6th the worst tragedy in history. I am not condoning what happened January 6th, very much against any violence, just pointing out the double standard. John Archer, Spring Township. It is certainly no big surprise that progressives have criticized several of our state commissioners for believing that the PA state guidance was flawed because that executive guidance exceeded the US and PA Constitution and statutes, such as requiring that state legislators establish the election laws and not the executive or judicial branches. After all, according to the Countering Progressive Thinking, the laws which are on the books and which are followed by law-abiding citizens are archaic. As a result, the existing laws and rights are totally unsuitable for those state residents who believe that it is the current day progressive wisdom which should dictate what is allowed as a legitimate election process. In other words, basically anything goes, which really translates into meaning that it is the voting count and not the voting wishes that become the final outcome, and the opinions of law-abiding officials and conservative citizens be damned. Given the division of our state and country, it is unfortunate that progressives elect to bypass legitimate constitutional laws and instead unite to formulate suspicious election processes which provide innumerable amount of potential pathways for the loss of election security. It is even more unfortunate that the PA legislature and Senate in 2019, before the COVID-19 virus was on anyone's radar, chose to believe that the mail-in election process was a wonderful deal. Apparently, they bought into this scheme without having done any homework on what previous high-level reports, which were prepared by experts, and had determined that the mail-in process was a terrible idea as it invited wholesale voting security vulnerabilities. So when our PA commissioners, and especially our Berks County commissioners, decided to address this issue for all to see, they deserve credit and not criticism, unless, of course, you believe that increasing the potential for voting fraud is a great idea. Crystal Kowalski, why I'm missing. Good morning, commissioners. This country does not have equal justice under the law. In yesterday's news, we heard that Jenny Louise Cudd, one of the insurrectionists who breached the Capitol building on January 6, requested permission to travel to Mexico for a vacation this February. The judge and her pretrial service officer had no objections to her travel plans. Her request is being considered. When we look further into her case, we find that she was charged with 2 misdemeanors for her participation in an attempted overthrow of the United States government. She was released on her own recognizance. She is a middle-aged white woman who owns her own business. Let's contrast her treatment with that of a young black man who chose to be boisterously riding a bike, which he later bought, around the Why I'm Missing Walmart. This man was tased, arrested, restrained by both his hands and feet, and initially charged with 3 felonies and 5 misdemeanors. He was not released on his own recognizance. His bail was set at $2,500. It is very clear there are 2 systems of justice in this country. Before we can hope to make even the slightest of changes, we need to change our perceptions. We need to perceive a white woman trying to overthrow our government as more dangerous than a black man riding a bike inside Walmart. Let's see the injustice that is in plain sight, acknowledge it, and immediately act to change it. You as commissioners, the judges, prosecutors, the police, the probation and parole officers all have discretionary power that can impart positive change. We need to use it now. Thank you. Becky Ellis, Reading, PA. Good morning, County Commissioners. I finally got a response to the email that I sent to you 2 weeks ago regarding the need for Berks County to have a health department when I read the Reading Eagle online article on February 1st, 2021. I wanted to point out that the results of the online poll that was associated with this article, of the 92 people who voted as per whether Berks County should have its own health department, 80 people voted yes, 10 people voted no, and 2 people did not know. Commissioner Leimbach, per the article, you stated that instead of focusing on the feasibility of a health department, people should be concerned with problems like vaccine availability, the headache of trying to schedule appointments to get a vaccine, and the confusion created by things like pop-up vaccination sites. Commissioner Leimbach, if I am not mistaken, a county health department would directly address such issues. As Dr. Sandell pointed out in the same article, and this is a quote, she has seen firsthand how the Montgomery and Chester health departments have worked with the health system to ensure that testing and vaccination efforts have been meeting the demand, end of quote. Commissioner Leimbach, you also stated that, and this is a quote, there is a reason 60+ counties do not and have not had a county health department. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason I do believe is because their county commissioners have not taken the initiative to create one. I appreciate that creating a health department will not happen overnight, but do you think the pandemic and the issues associated with it will resolve itself overnight? Do you believe that the pandemic is the only health issue that the residents of Berks County face? I greatly appreciate how in the article Jess Royer pointed out the long-standing health poisoning. Ironically, per the response I received from Congressman Muser's office said that he cannot challenge the ruling of a federal agency by asking for additional testing on a park once the case is closed. Much like COVID-19, other health and environmental issues do not disappear simply because we choose not to test for them. County Commissioners, there is no better time to pass a resolution to create a county health department than right now. Thank you. Adrian Jadick and why I'm missing. Dear Commissioners, as you well know, I have been an observer at the counting of the mail, absentee, and provisional ballots for the entire 2 weeks of that process during the November elections. I can testify that the entire process was conducted with the highest integrity. As an engineer, I was especially impressed by the impeccable logistics of the operation at Doubletree. I have read Commissioner Leinbach's op-ed from last week, and I have to say that since I was a witness of the entire process, I understand very well what he refers to in his writing. The law clearly needs tweaking. I am concerned, however, about the choice of words and the subsequent effect of his op-ed. Words matter. The large majority of the readers are not familiar with the technicalities of the vote counting process. Additionally, while they were sitting on their couches, their favorite president was screaming from the bottom of his lungs to the authorities in charge. Implicitly, Commissioner Leinbach are rigging the election. The reality is that everyone from governor to poll worker have spared no effort in delivering a fair election during an unprecedented pandemic and while navigating the division sowed by an unhinged president ready to sacrifice everything we hold sacred in our democracy just so he can retain power. Commissioners, I ask you to repair the damage that was done to the trust in our elections. Please assure your constituents that the integrity was preserved and no irregularities were committed. The op-ed did a disservice to all those who assured that every vote cast in Berks County was counted with utmost professionalism. It failed to clarify in no uncertain terms that despite the unprecedented circumstances, the election was run with impeccable integrity. Tammy Keener, Spring Township. We do not need a county health department. We cannot afford to build another facility that will not be used. Last year, my port became septic, and I tell you that the state department and CDC was in my hospital room and my home to do all the testing for the issue and resolved it in a matter of 2 months. Be patient and stop spending money. Will you commissioners do this, please? David Del Negro, West Reading. Good morning, commissioners. As we begin to peak forward towards the spring through the 2 feet of snow, what new actions and plans is the county developing for economic revival and to support small businesses? Thank you. Hopefully Adrian Jadick, from why I'm missing, yes, Commissioner Leinbach did reply. Thank you. Barry Newman, Mountain. Do the commissioners of the county believe that the election of November 2020 was fraudulent in any way? I apologize, I'm not sure how to pronounce this name, but Ixamara Linda Guerrero, West Reading, Council President Kathy Hoffman is pushing forward with structural condemnation during winter months. I am advocating for assistance to the residents. The property owner is not reachable. I'm not sure. The
West, I think they meant
the West Reading has recourse. However, they are not helping the people. Why? And that concludes the comments.
That will end our comment period. We'll give an opportunity if any of my colleagues would like to offer any comments. Please go ahead. I'm going to suggest Commissioner Rivera, maybe you want to jump in. This last comment is definitely addressing the issue you brought up in your closing comments. Maybe you can reiterate what is happening. I know that you talked about this more extensively Tuesday at the operations meeting and what action you've taken on this issue. So I think it might, since it's been brought up twice now, help to clarify it.
Okay, sure. So over the weekend, I got a call and also was tagged on a Facebook post in reference to this property that it's being condemned, as Xiomara mentioned here, structural condemnation. So basically, West Reading is having the property closed down. I'm waiting for more information today, but it was supposed to happen over the weekend. West Reading did not do that because of the snow that was coming, although they had been in contact with the tenants there. This has been a process that's been going on, from what I understand, 2 to 3 months now. So I reached out also to Jack Williams at the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness, made him aware he was put in contact with the West Reading Council as well to work something out. And the Coalition 10 Homelessness is going to be working with the people that don't have anywhere to go. From what this is all I've heard. It's not personal that I've been there, but I've heard that people have already been moving out. That Saturday, Sunday, there were U-Haul trucks there, vans of people moving out of the property. If there still is someone there and they don't have where to go, the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness will provide them a hotel room. Also, the condemnation is that you can't live there. You don't necessarily have to have all of your personal items removed immediately. You will be given a period to do that. I don't know what that is. I will be following up on that today for more information. But Xiomara, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I can give you more details, but you can reach the Coalition 10 Homelessness and IS if we can publish this phone number on here as well. It's 610-372-7222. Again, that's 610-372-7222. What we want to make sure is that no one ends up on the street because of this unfortunate situation that had nothing to do with the tenants there. So again, some of them have already moved out. If you have not, you don't have where to go, or if you know of someone that doesn't have anywhere to go, please reach out to the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness. They will provide a hotel room until you're able to get other housing. We want to make sure that no one stays out on the street. So I've been aware of this situation and have been worked last weekend on it and have had some communication through this week as well. Also, there should be at the building some type of posting from the Berks Coalition 10 Homelessness on information on what to do and how to contact them. They were supposed to be going out yesterday, Wednesday, to post that at the building.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I want to note we have posted the phone number on Microsoft Teams, a live event for the Berks County Coalition to End Homelessness. I believe we will also have that posted on the Facebook Live comments and YouTube Live comments for anyone that wants to access that number. Any other comments?
Just one in David Del Negro, and I can get more information to him, but just wanted to let him know that although we've been focusing on COVID and the vaccine and so forth, economic development and working with small businesses, it's something that has been ongoing. It has continued through Rebuild Berks Initiative. We have Pam Shupp here, who has continued to work on economic development together with the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance. So there's a lot of things going on. It's not something that has stopped, and now we're looking at starting to do something new in spring. We understand the importance of small businesses being able to continue working. We understand the importance of economic development. So that's why it's something that we have continued to work on. So David, if you would want more details, reach out to me. We can set something up with Pam Shupp, and we can answer any questions that you have in reference to that. And if you have any thoughts or ideas as to what we can do to help our small businesses, They're always welcome as well. Small businesses are the backbone to our local economy, and we need to make sure that they are viable. And like I had said previously, I'm hoping that Senate Bill 109 will pass and that we'll be able to get the funding for businesses in the hospitality industry, primarily what are hotels and restaurants in this area.
And that is state legislation, and that's up for consideration possibly today. The House passed it, unfortunately, without amendments. We're hoping that the Senate may take it up before it goes to the governor to put some amendments in place to make it easier for counties to implement the program. So I won't go into the amendments right now, but all three commissioners signed on to a letter that went out to our entire delegation. We did hear back from at least one member of the delegation, and that was Senator Bob Mensch. And he assured us that if it came back to the Senate, he would definitely look at those, the two specific amendments that would benefit and help counties better administer the program.
As a reminder, last summer and fall of 2020, there were 3 federal programs. One came directly to the county as CARES Act money, and we appropriated through Pam Shoop and her department $12 million to small businesses. I know it's never enough, but there certainly were efforts made, great strides made last year. Don't know what eventually is going to end up with this stimulus package that President Biden is trying to put forth, where that's going to end up with small businesses as well. So I think you have to stay tuned to the national news as to what, if anything, is going to be coming back down to local governments. And lastly, just a reminder, any of the viewers want to talk to me about a county health department, the pros and the cons. My number 610-478-6136, extension 4. Be happy to talk to you about it. And I have never been, in my years of public service, been driven by resolution, by referendum. As I said to Karen Shuey on my hour phone call with her, I'm more of a guy who wants to know the details, want to dig in and figure out the pros and the cons of anything. And if I, at the end of all that research, determine that a public health department for Berks County is the right thing to do, I would certainly be one of the biggest advocates. But at this point, there's an awful lot of research and information has to be compiled in order to make a very challenging decision whether this county should embark on a county health department. It's not, again, it's not about the financial impact. It's about what value does that bring to the community? Does that improve outcomes for our county? And there's an awful lot of detail that has to go into that. I can't imagine the last time this county actually created a new department. I know it hasn't happened in the last 14 years. It's not a snap your finger and decide that, hey, we're going to establish a department. What really does it look like? Who's going to be employed there? How are those things going to happen? And all of those functions of local entities like Cook County Wellness doing contact tracing, what happens to that? How does that fold itself into, or is a subcontractor to a county health department? A lot of details involved, and as I said to Karen, I'm more than happy to really dig in and find out the details about it once we are at least in a position in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to travel and spend time, quality time in some of these various departments. As I said to her, kick the tires and see what they're really all about. So thank you.
I'm going to add one additional comment. This idea that if you have a county health department, that department somehow controls the distribution of vaccine is simply not true. It doesn't even have the ability to control a pop-up vaccination site. It simply means that that entity is able to secure vaccine from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and is able to administer vaccine. As we relate, and I'm specifically talking about the comment on controlling a pop-up. All you need to do is look at Philadelphia, look at Bucks County, look at Chester County, look at Lehigh and Northampton counties. They don't have county health departments, but Northampton has a city health department in Bethlehem, and Lehigh has a city health department in Allentown. And the vaccination is not being driven by them. It's being driven by two major healthcare providers, St. Luke's and Lehigh Valley. And the call I was on Wednesday with a number of county commissioners, I thank our folks in Lehigh County, not the county, but Lehigh Valley Hospital, because a lot of Berks Countyans have gone to the Lehigh Valley Hospital. Commissioner Kickline from Chester County said the same thing, that they've had a number of residents from Chester County going up to the Lehigh Valley. So we have to be very careful that we work with facts. And that's why this is going to take a deliberative effort to dig in, separate fact from fiction, and then once we have all the information, making a decision that we believe is in the best interest of the public. But I would encourage people on either side of this, if you're already opposed or if you already believe it's the most important thing the county can do, please don't make broad statements. Dig in. Let's look at the facts, and ultimately it's the facts that are going to drive this decision. I have that kind of confidence because I've worked with Commissioner Barnhart for almost 14 years. Commissioner Rivera has established the same type of thinking and thought process. We want the data. My colleagues are tired of this, but a quote that I learned in my prior life, we did a lot of market strategy, and we had a saying, "In God we trust, all others bring data." And that's the way we have to look at this. We need to dig in and deal with facts. That's what we're committed to do at some point once we are through the pandemic. And Karen Shuey said to me, well, a lot of people are afraid that once the pandemics are over, you'll forget all about it. And I said, well, first of all, I've made a commitment that I won't. Secondly, the public and the media hold us accountable. You've heard us clearly say that we're going to look into it and we're going to do it in a deliberative process. If we don't, call us out. So you heard it here. I don't have a problem being held accountable. That's all that I have. Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.